I'm not a real entrepreneur. I'm a cheat here amongst these very impressive people. So I worked at Google. I've also worked at Walker's Crisp and some other big companies. But I did spend about 7 months in the last dot-com boom with a startup which started up and crashed. So I have some experience there. A company called HomePro.com that I'll mention a bit more later. But I'm here because I was a judge at the Start-Up Stars Awards. So it was fantastic. It was... the worst thing about it actually was, the only bad thing about it was that when I went back to my desk the next day, I sat there for the first 10 minutes thinking, why am I here? Why am I not doing something like these guys are doing? But having said that, it really made me think about what are the core elements of the kind of organizations that we put through into the shortlist for the final big prize. And I think I'd boil it down to these things. I think, firstly, we're looking for a great founder team. And I say team because the majority of the successful businesses that come through the awards are not one-man bands. They're great teams of 2 or 3 people. And you can really see when those teams come to present their businesses, the successful ones have an incredible level of trust between the partners. They have complementary skills, and it's obvious that with those complementary skills, they have carved out unique and complementary roles with a clear division of labor. And they share a very common purpose, and they all share a fundamental belief in what the business is driving for, and that shines through from talking to the people who come to those awards judging sessions. So the next thing is a real sense of purpose. The companies that look great, come across the best, are the ones that are really trying to build something or change something or stand for something. And it doesn't have to be a change the world kind of thing. You know, we do have people, particularly with the Green Award focus, who are coming in and trying to, massively change the amount of materials that are recycled or repurposed, or that are trying to fundamentally change the ability of wheelchair people to clothe themselves respectively. And those kind of things are fantastic. But it can also be a purpose like, I want to produce beer that's as interesting as wine. Or I want to restore the trust in electrical contracting in Rotherham. It doesn't have to be a higher purpose, but something that really is a strong purpose for those people. And there's always a sense that there's a desire to build something more than just wealth. People who are in it for the money, good on them, but it's not the same, and it doesn't come across as well. And I think ultimately they are often less successful because of that. So they want to build something that's sustainable, and they've always got a clear reason why there's a point of difference. And it doesn't have to be, as you said earlier, it doesn't have to be a patented thing that nobody can copy. It can just be, we're going to do this differently, or this better, or this with more focus. And that really shines through. The next thing, which was mentioned just now, was having a sense of humility around what you don't know. So all the best candidates come in and say, we've done this and this, and we've asked for this, and we've borrowed that, and we have this mentor, and we have this relationship here and there. And if somebody thinks they're a kind of know-it-all superstar success, then they're always on the way to a slippery fall. So that's important. Next thing, a real grasp of the numbers. So you've all seen Dragon's Den on TV, and the people who don't know their basic metrics. But for all of you, you need to understand the basic metrics of your business, particularly cash. And it's been said a number of times. It will be said, I'm sure, again. You need to understand how much cash is coming in and going out, and particularly how you're going to fund the growth that you're talking about. So many businesses come in and they talk about doubling or tripling in size, but they don't realize that the 60-day terms that they're on, or the cost of stock or whatever, is going to cripple them if they grow at that rate with the funding that they have. And last thing, and I think we've certainly seen a great example of it here, is a bit of showmanship. If you come to those awards, you're selling to us, the judges, but you're also demonstrating whether you can sell to other people that you have to sell to. And so you're going to be in front of record labels or supermarket buyers or newspaper journalists to try and get some PR. And if you can't sell to a bunch of stiff judges behind a desk, then you're not going to be able to sell to these people who are much harder nosed than we are. And so you get a sense of showmanship from the guys who are going to be successful, and it's great to see that. And so I think those would be my top tips from the judging process. And then some more general things from my career, I think, is for business, business-wise, Google, I think, has been successful because of the things I've talked about. It's got a real sense of purpose. Organizing the world's information is what Larry and Sergey started out with in a garage 10 years ago. And it sounded like a ridiculously ambitious, arrogant goal, if you like, at that stage. But they've gone along and done it. And having that sense of purpose allows us as a business to very clearly push away things that might be interesting financial opportunities, but are not delivering on the core of that mission. And it keeps us aligned and driving for the same kind of thing. Having an unrelenting focus around that. So the main core of that is around search, and we have a very clear rule in the business that's 70-20-10. So 70% of our resources as a business go against core search and the advertising that goes against search. 20% goes against things that are very closely related to that, like searching on maps or searching on mobile. And then 10% goes against really random stuff that is organising the world's information in some way, but doesn't necessarily tie back to search yet, but we think it might. And an example of that is we've got a translation service where you can type in anything in any language and it will find those words somewhere on the web, find how it's translated on another web page, bring it back and give it to you. And so, that's a cool thing, useful for people, but not yet part of our business. Then we're being user-centric. I mean, it's whether it's being customer-centric or user-centric or dedicated to perfection in what you deliver. I think that's very key. And very early on in the Google process, all the other companies were putting pop-ups and banner ads and so on all over their homepages. And Larry and Sergey at the time said, this is not what our users want, and this will drive them away. And we'll figure out another way to make money. And so if you've got a financial opportunity in your business which you think can make you some money but can drive away the reason your customers to come to you, then turn it away and find some other way to make money, because that will ultimately kill you. Measure everything, and we're maniacal about measuring things at Google, and you guys should be as well. And then on the people side, obviously hire the best. We go through massive rounds of recruitment at Google, but also reward what you want to see. And it sounds trite, but just little things that we have in our business, like we have a steal and share awards. So if people steal a good idea from one country, put it in another one, or if they spend their time helping another department to do something well, then they get awarded for that, not just necessarily hitting their numbers. And HomePro, by contrast, the company I spent 6 months at, went from 4 people to 70 people and back to 4 people in about 6 months, and I was somewhere in the middle of that and then left. We pursued the growth rather than the objective. We tried to make money any way we could, and we didn't understand the core business model that we had, and we tried to scale it too quickly. So basically we relied on builders to honestly tell us how much work they'd done and give us a share of it, which was just the stupidest thing now with hindsight. So we didn't make a great deal of money out of that. So finally, I've been asked to reflect on the awards and what I think it offers. So from talking to a number of the entrants to these awards, the Start-Up Stars, particularly HSBC ones, they've all said, whether they won or lost, they've said, it's been fantastic to be forced to reflect on my business, to repackage why I'm doing this, and to talk about it with my colleagues at work, because often, that opens up a new opportunity or makes you think about another way of doing it. Obviously, the publicity is great. Sky and a national newspaper are involved. The cash is useful too if you win. But I think that process of reflection and changing ideas is great. And even at Google, big company as we are, we go in for awards, and we recently won the Best Places to Work award, which actually helped us think about some of the things as a business that we can do to make it a nicer place for our employees to work. So it's definitely worthwhile.